Hey everybody, welcome to Everybody Can Have One More Cat with Stephen Meserve, because no one will ever notice. I am back again with episode, I think we're number 7 now. And I am here with, obviously, Everyone Can Have One More Cat, and I'm here with Dr. Tanya Phillips from Sydney, Australia. You live in Sydney, right?
Yay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you live in Sydney, and we met when I was there in Australia. So it's really exciting to have you. So thank you for taking time out of your, I guess it's your night, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's your night.
Not too late. I've
So
sent the kids to bed.
yeah. So that's what time is it there? It's 8:30.
8:40.
Eight,
8:40 at
8:40.
night.
So,
Yeah.
so we're on a little bit opposite. Luckily, I'm not in the U.S., right? It would be a little bit more difficult.
Oh, yes.
So thank you very much. Welcome. We're super excited to have you. I learned a lot in Australia. When I was there. So we're gonna cover some hot topics, obviously that affect the entire cat population, but a little bit about what happens in Australia as well. But why don't we just start with you and like your background and like where why you're a vet and like you know what I mean. That's kind of an interesting kind of start, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even working back, I think, I met you when at your last show when you were in Australia,
Right.
and we just had a casual conversation. I'm like, wow, he's a really cool guy.
Oh,
By
thank
that
you.
last show, I was like watching you. I'm going, go on. Where are you gonna fade? But you maintained your passion. I was so impressed.
It was
You
12,
know,
if you think about it, it was 12 catwalks, right? I did 12 catwalks for
Y-
Saturday and Sunday. So
yes.
12 shows back to back. Yeah, it
Man.
was quite hectic. 12,
Yeah, and then I just thought he's a great guy. Like you even, came down and like talked to everybody, happy to take photos. And I'm like, you're awesome, like a real
oh, thank you
person.
so much. You
So
gotta love, you
yeah,
gotta
I
love,
felt,
you gotta, I think, by any means, I'm not a celebrity by any means, but, behind the social media mask, you don't really know what happens, but I mean, I'm actually kind of normal. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, you never know what people are like in real life, right?
no, you don't. And then that's what I've discovered, like, reaching out and having DMs and meeting people online and then actually meeting them in person. The connections that you make online are actually real. Like the DMs, what you share. And then I met a whole lot of breeders on the weekend and it felt like we were family. But
Yeah.
we'd already bridged that gap. And I felt, oh my goodness, I turned up at the show and I felt like I knew half of the crowd there.
That's
So
so funny.
yeah,
You
it
never
is
know
really
this day
cool.
and age with AI too. There's so many AI integrations and stuff that, so
Yes.
generally speaking, when I'm on my, there is a bunch of us that help with my social media, but I mean, cause obviously I can't do it all, but, generally speaking, I see everything and respond to everyone. So, so
Yeah,
which is
love
cool.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I
So,
love that.
so, so,
Yes.
so, so tell us
Going
from the
back to
beginning.
me, I started
Yeah.
talking about you.
Enough about me, but
Um,
everyone knows about me. It's more about you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I graduated from Sydney Uni and like a really long while ago.
Wow.
It's quite funny because I talk to nurses and receptionists at in clinics. I'm like, oh yeah, I graduated in so and so. I bet you weren't even born, and they're like, yeah, I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
oh my
terrible now,
goodness,
isn't
feels so much older.
it?
Yeah, but it's been really great. So was lucky. I mean, I was born in Australia. My parents are of Chinese origin,
Oh, cool.
but I went to Sydney Uni, and we also live in Sydney. Went to the UK for a few years, and then came back to Sydney. And I've just been really lucky to be able to get a job right in the middle of the city. That's the hardest part because a lot
Yeah.
of vets get jobs really far away from home. So I've been a little bit spoilt in that I've only really worked in Greater Sydney and really great clinics. And I am a small animal vet. So I've done a number of different things. I've tried to leave the industry as well quite a number of
Yeah,
times.
I mean, it's you hear. Well, first of all, back up. What part of Sydney are you in? Where's the practice?
Well, I actually have worked in a lot of different places, and
Uh-huh.
currently I'm working in the North Shore, just like
Okay,
literally a
cool.
7 minute drive from where I am. But I also work for a company that offers home call euthanasia and palliative care. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody says, oh, that must be the saddest job. But in fact, it's really rewarding to be able to offer that service and to be able to support families in the privacy of their own home and support them through their grief and also for the pets. It's actually, although it's actually really sad, but it's also really rewarding in so many ways. I do feel like it's a gift to be able to offer that.
And that takes
Yeah.
a really, that, I grew up thinking that I wanted to be a veterinarian. You know what I mean? I do had this love of animals, but I just don't know if I could have. First of all, I have the attention span of like a fly. Do you know what I mean? So like, do you know what I mean? So, it's very difficult for me to stay focused. I think I found the right way to be involved in the animals, but it's a really difficult industry, I guess, if you want to call it that, to be in,
Yeah.
especially in this world that says prices are going up, and and tough decisions have to be made, and people that don't have the money and that kind of stuff, it gets really, really difficult, right, for everybody. So
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I have talked to other veterinarians, not in this capacity, but just said they've also thought about leaving the industry, or leaving the whole entire veterinary, like, day to day, just
Yeah.
because of the immense amount of pressure, and
Oh, yeah. Well, in this current generation, like, I the Gen Z thing, it's all about mental health and well-being.
yeah,
And there's a lot going on in Australia, and I also know internationally about the awareness also with the veterinary industry. And I was involved with that recently as well with an organization. But we're bringing out the awareness that there is a global shortage of vets and vet nurses, but also vets have the highest rate of suicide, and double the rates of just normal population. Can you believe
yeah,
that?
this is crazy. I can't even imagine. I don't want to add fuel to the fire, God forbid, but I can't even imagine being put in a situation where money comes in between, the animal's life. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
That's got to be the most heart wrenching part of
it
it,
is.
And there's a lot, and I'm not saying anything. I've seen a lot of vets through my life that have a lot of empathy, you know what I mean? But I also have seen a lot of vets that have kind of just shut it down, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they have to,
yeah.
it gets really, really difficult. I talk about a lot about insurance for cats and dogs and animals in
Oh, yeah,
general, and how it's
100%. We
how it's
recommend that. Oh,
yeah,
totally.
The UK, when I moved to the UK, pet insurance was very big. It
Yes.
still is,
That was
it
a
was.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then in the US, when I was there, like, it wasn't a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
it's not,
even
and
here, yeah,
now we're getting there, yeah?
yeah,
And how
which
is
is
it in
great.
Australia?
Yeah,
Yeah?
because I think also in the US, I think even your own private health insurance, I mean, that is a different structure as
We don't even
well.
want to talk about that. I'm lucky because
Yeah.
I have Portuguese. I have Portuguese private insurance, which is like, we are on the same kind of socialized system you guys are, right?
Yeah.
But I have private, which is even
Oh.
like, you can't even imagine. It's like,
If you
I don't
don't
even.
have health
It's like
insurance in
a
the
minuscule
States,
amount compared to my insurance in the United States. You know what I mean? And I need
totally.
insurance in the U.S. because I'm there so often. But
Yeah.
as far as the costs and things of the U.S. and veterinary care, it's extremely high, especially in the big cities. So, I can't preach enough, and I'm sure you as well, how important it is for people to get. You just never know. You
Insurance.
don't want to be put in that position. Also, in my opinion, you should never be bringing a cat or a dog into your life if you don't have the means for that as
Yes.
well
And
to cover.
that's, yeah.
You know?
And that's education, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
responsible pet ownership, which I think, we're trying to do with different laws and things, but certain areas, socioeconomic areas, that doesn't happen, does it?
yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Even here in Portugal, when I first moved here in 2020, I live in a little village just south of Porto,
yeah, I've been to Porto.
and there was cats literally, there was cats everywhere when we moved here, and
Oh.
the locals take extreme care of the cats, but they
Yeah,
don't
they
go.
feed them.
Yeah, they're great with that, but they don't do the next level. And like, so we worked with the lady here and the local people that help out to educate them on like, okay, so we need to get them neutered and spayed. Like, I mean, otherwise it's just gonna, and the first 2020, 21, 22, and 23, we had like 10 or 15 or 20 kittens literally coming into our house, not into the house, but into our area because they were like on death's door. You know what I mean?
But
Like
they also
literally.
know the right, they also know the right doors to knock on, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, yeah. They do it all
Crazy.
the time. They drop
Like, how
cats
do
off.
they do that? How do they
Yeah,
know the houses, the people to go to? They do.
so true. So they
They
come
pick
in.
us.
Yeah, and then we had these kittens, and then for the last summer and this summer, no kittens at all. Like
Oh,
so
that's
that's really really exciting. So even you can't save them all, but the few you can, you we really had an impact. But that's just, I mean, it's kind of our mission at Loving Cats Worldwide to really kind of educate the people on proper pet ownership and stuff, but also to do their part. I mean, I think as the generations move, we're, like you said with Gen Z, you're moving into a different generation. Our parents, like their cats went outside, like you know what I mean,
yeah.
like it
The
wasn't a
dogs
big
were
deal.
roaming around too, right?
Yeah,
They,
you didn't. Growing up, I had no connection. You might have heard me say this in Sydney. Like, I had no connection with cats, like, ever, because my aunt had cats, my grandmother had cats, but like
yeah,
my family didn't have cats. My mother had this weird kind of anxiety around cats. She's good now, obviously, but I just had no connection. They were just there. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
There was no cat like that made the connection with me. So I think that's just a generational thing. And as things kind of progress, even in Portugal, you're seeing, we placed some of these rescues here in Portugal, but like very strategically to make sure that they were going to the right
Right
people.
home.
And
Yes.
they're stayed
That makes
inside. And, so I think as the generations change, you're starting to see proper care.
yeah.
But let's
Well,
talk about the importance of, I mean, because there's also myths about that. Oh, my cat stays inside, and I don't need to vaccinate them if they don't go outside. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, well, in Australia, so the overpopulation of stray and feral cats is a really big deal in Australia, but because of the way the governments are structured, every state have their own laws. And none of TrapNeuter and Release, I know, has been really successful in so many different countries. I actually joined an international forum only a few weeks ago where we heard studies about, even Singapore, and I think there was one about Portugal as well. There was a study about Portugal and the effect of TNR. But in Australia, they don't pass, they haven't passed it. And the only state that has is Canberra. And that's because there's a whole lot of different organisations that are lobbying for, they're worried about cats being outside because they're going to trap wildlife and kill wildlife and also cause
Birds, right?
extinction of certain, yeah, which is huge. We are very outdoorsy and care for that in Australia. But for that reason, they're not passing the TNR. But then that means that they're actually also not dealing with they're just putting a blind eye to the
The problem.
stray cats. And what they're trying to do is like, okay, well, the easiest, like, to suppress all of the rescue groups, etc., is like, we're going to do an education about just keeping your cats inside. And I'm like, oh my goodness, seriously. And that's a generational thing, right? So the cats who are 14 or 15 years old that have always been an outdoor cats, you can't start bringing them inside and make them indoor cats, even at 12 years old, right? Like, they'll
Even at
scream the
five,
whole
you know what I
house.
mean? Like
Yeah,
yeah, right.
they'll do
So
what they want and they'll scream the house down and make it impossible for the family to live
yeah,
in.
indeed,
But
until they
so
get
it's
up.
all education, I think. It's also generational. So I think it's a process to make change long term, but it's not going to solve the issues right now in Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, even
Are
with
they still,
me,
are they culling there too? Or are they like,
well, See, the problem is there are certain pounds that will do, but then there's so many rescue groups, and I was on Facebook the other day and looked at how many rescue groups. There's multiple in every council who are trying to trap cats, foster them out, get them desexed, and also rehome them. There are some also getting them off death row, like off the list at the pound and bringing them out. So they've got a no-kill policy. But because of that, these rescue groups are overwhelmed. And there's no government funding or support. So
Yeah.
we've got these poor rescue groups who are suffering from a lot of exhaustion, and they're also supporting these out of their own pockets
Yeah,
too.
because it's not enough
Which
yet. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
a hard
it's
situation.
yeah, it is a really sad situation. And I experienced it myself because last year I fostered two pregnant cats and they had their litters in my house. And so obviously I wanted to feed them the best food, and you're looking at raw cannon, and the best litter, and then after a while I'm like, wow, this is costing a lot of money. I
Yeah.
can afford it, but all of the people who are trying to do the right thing and they're overwhelmed, it's actually really sad. And so that led me to want to help on another level, which is why I started my business, in fact. And so, yeah, ultimately, I want to support rescue groups. But I
Uh-huh.
didn't get clarity on my ultimate mission until only a few weeks ago. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to lobby the government to make changes on government level. I'm going to take it into my own hands. And I'm like, well, okay, so if I get a whole lot of vets and vet nurses who will donate their Sunday, okay, one Sunday a year or something, and I get some clinics to donate their clinic. With my contacts, I talk to the drug companies to donate anesthetic drugs and everything, and I organise these mass desexing days that they have and they successfully run in the States. And I thought, I think we could do this on a level of us actually getting our hands in and volunteering rather than just waiting for things to happen. And so I think ultimately I'd like to be able to organise that and make that happen. I think I could do that nationally,
Totally.
which
You
will,
need you need you need
free.
you have the contacts. It's really the
Yeah.
point of this podcast, right? I mean, this podcast is everyone can have a warmer cat. If
Yeah.
everyone took over a cat, we wouldn't have any problems.
Yeah.
But so I mean, that's obviously that's comical. That's not
Of
going to happen. But
course. Yes.
a lot of the rescue groups, the ones that we speak to, the ones that we at Loving Cats Worldwide, we offer, all of our events, we offer free space to rescues, we offer free publicity, we give them,
Amazing.
stage access and everything, but their biggest problems is money and
Yeah. Yeah.
volunteers and money. You know what I mean? That's
And the
those.
money towards the vet fees to do the
Yeah,
neutering and the vaccination, the microchipping, that's the biggest, and
yeah,
then it's litter then it's food and then it's litter. But
yeah.
ultimately it's vet fees, and vet fees, there are big overheads. We're not charging for no reason. There's so much insurance, blah, blah, blah. But if we could all chip in a little bit and offer free desexing days, it could really take a real weight
Yeah,
off
I
these
mean,
foster groups,
it takes an
these
army, right? Or it takes
rescues.
a village to make
Yes,
this happen. And I've heard so many times in my life, especially when I talk about the rescue, and I have 7 rescues in my house. You know what I mean? I mean, they're the ones that didn't go, the blacks and the
and
Tories,
you're
the ones that
making room for more from your post today,
yeah, yeah,
right?
we're gonna make some room for. I'm gonna try. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know if it'll happen, but I don't know if I'll end up moving them. It have to be like the best houses, and I need
I
to
know.
keep.
How did you even pick those ones that
It's
you
just the
were
ones
like,
that
okay,
it's
you're
the
out?
four that are like antisocial problems. You know what I mean? The ones that there's always a few that are like
Yeah.
that are troublemakers.
And you
We love them,
tried.
but
You've
I just think
tried, right?
they deserve their own palace. You know what I mean? Like to be
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like to be gushed over. So I think it's only
Yeah.
fair. We'll see what
Of
happens.
course.
It's hard to manage. with this, but I just thought it was in their best interest. It has nothing to do with
Oh,
me, but it's
yes.
in their best
Oh,
interest.
absolutely. Oh,
They,
absolutely. And you've
yeah,
identified that from the beginning, but you've
yeah,
tried, right? I'm
yeah.
sure in so
That
many different, even though
we,
you've got such a palace yourself.
yeah, but
But
I mean, like,
obviously, you don't
this
want
new.
them to be in their own room.
No, you don't want them to be like that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
And I want to be able to. We're working now with local rescues here, and we're gonna have cats available for when people come here. So that's gonna be just and people have said to me, and probably to you as well, or will say, we can't save them all, but you can't. You're absolutely right. But what we can impact, saves these ones, you know what I mean? So we can change the lives of the cats that we can help. We can't change them all, no. But the problem with the rescue groups is that also is that people don't know that, like, you don't have to foster, you don't have to give money, you just need time, like scooping boxes or running back and forth to the vet in
Yes.
your car. There's so
Yeah.
many other things that you
Transporting
can help with.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
just moving
Yes.
moving from house to house, initiating, new foster parents. Like, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that can be done without you actually donating money or having
Yes.
extra cats in your house. Because let's be honest, I mean, a lot of people really, I mean, they can't have another cat. I mean, either it's a
Yeah.
legal thing or they have too many already. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah, totally.
those are the big. So what's the plan then? What was the aha moment for you where you were like, okay, you know what I mean? I think that we can do this. You know what I mean? What was
Yeah,
that?
well, I think because I was trying to figure a way how I can support rescue groups with my litter, and I was doing that. I'm like, yeah, 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 I can do that, and just that sounds like about right. And I'm working closely with a whole lot of different rescue groups, especially with their fundraising. But it was sort of because I think I was watching maybe on social media, and um, it was a reel about these mass desexing days, and you could see the little stations that they had, and they'd achieved 300 cats in one day, and I'm like, oh my
Is
God,
it
I wish we
outside,
could
like in a
do that.
tent or
Well, I was
something?
in a clinic, yeah, no,
Uh,
in a tent.
I don't know.
It
I mean a big tent. Like, I don't mean like a camping tent. I mean like a setup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
No,
was
it
in
was
a
in a
clinic. Yeah.
clinic.
Yeah.
But I could actually see that happening. I think I could get, a nurse, but even on another level, because I guess by
How many
meeting
doctors
where
did
I,
300? That's to back up.
yeah,
Just how
well,
many
I think,
doctors did 300 in one day?
well, I think that it'd be more support staff. And this is what I've planned it in my head is that, you get one nurse with one cat and they follow through from the beginning all the way through and be their nurse until they've woken up, and discharge them. But it's actually the vets because we have to scrub in. So we just wait. We go one after the other and then they just, on a
Like
conveyor belt,
in
just
in a, not a good word, but like an assembly line. You know what I mean? But
yes,
you
absolutely.
have to
Yes,
be it has to be organized.
really organized.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And because of where I am in my career as a vet, like, I really love to mentor and teach new vets and students. And so I thought this could be even an amazing opportunity for vet students and vet nurses to get hands-on experience and hands-on one-on-one free mentoring for that experience, which is really hard to find as well.
Yeah, so
So
at what level can a vet student, can they operate or can they perform the desexing in the presence of a
a
registered
senior
vet?
vet.
Yeah, a
Yes,
senior
yes, because their uni covers their insurance. So we often have vet students come in, it's part of their DVM in their last few years that they have to come in and shadow vets.
vet.
So they do get to scrub in and do things like that. So that's really, really cool. I mean, I'm just trying to establish my business at the moment, but I think ultimately I'd probably go through the processes of setting up a non-for-profit organization, which could take a long while, but then make the contact so that I can execute
Yeah,
that
you
at some
have the
stage.
contacts, right? I mean, you have the contacts
Yeah.
from the university as well, from the veterinary school there as well.
Oh yeah. All
Sure,
I
sure, in
mean,
every
I've been
major,
here. Yeah,
every
25
major city
years,
in
more
Florida.
than
Yeah,
25 years I've been in the industry here in Sydney. So, we all, and in the veterinary industry, we all do tend to know each other. We're quite
yeah,
close. Yeah,
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 that's great. So
yeah.
tell me about this litter launch that you're doing and what that's all about and not launch. I think you've already launched, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and
launched
yeah.
launched 4 weeks ago. It
Oh yeah.
was yeah, um after having fostered the kittens and well fostering I fostered the mums who were pregnant, then they had the litters, and then I had the litters through all the way up to toilet training and weaning, etc. And I was going through so much litter, and I just couldn't find that perfect litter. And so I decided to try. I mean, I tried a lot of them, and I made a spreadsheet and all the features that I liked and I didn't like. And basically, really, at the end of it, I still couldn't find it. So I'm like, okay, right, I'm going to go and find my perfect litter. So I went out, I ended up just going, okay, I'm going to go to China and go to the Beijing Expo. Found a manufacturer, and yeah, and I've never done anything like this before. I've never done like
Yeah,
a
for those of you
business
listening,
or
like 90% of the world's litter is manufactured in China, if not 100%. I don't even know. I mean,
oh,
pretty much everything. I mean,
oh,
everything. Yeah.
100%. And well, but even the Chinese, like they're now ma manufacturing it overseas. So they're they're the manufacturers, but they're actually outsourcing the production to
Yeah.
to a Southeast Asian country.
Yeah.
Um, but but they're really like I was really impressed with how what they're like. They're so efficient, and I had all the availability to send my litter off for third party testing, and all of those options are all out there. It's just whether or not you choose to do it. And I think that's where you see the variation in the cost of different litters. It's just dependent on the quality and how it's produced and how much testing there's been, and things like that. So anyway, I created my perfect litter, and now I want to share it with the whole cat community, which is super exciting. And I ensured that I really am conscious about sustainability and things like that. So I made sure that the ingredients were all upcycled, and so yeah, it's been a month, and it's matcha litter, so it's made out of green tea,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's super
recycled
interesting.
green tea.
I remember you telling me that when I was there last time. That's really interesting. I've never heard of that before. So I'm really
Yeah,
hopeful for you. And I mean, because it's a
thank
big
you.
step. I mean, it's not like. I mean, this is a lot. I mean, you got to get the litter into the country, right? I mean, like this is so
Yeah.
you're yeah, it's distributed from Australia now, right? So
Everyone Can Have One More Cat with Stephen Meserve is brought to you by Roz, a family brand with a big heart. Roz is a pet nutrition brand that understands the importance of helping the furry friends we all consider family. Not only are they committed to providing pets with natural food options that are high meat and minimally processed, but they are also dedicated to giving back to those in need. By donating 100% of their profit through the Roz Fund, they've contributed over $3.7 million to pet-specific causes and those living with disabilities across the United States. Cooked in small batches, without the use of rendered meals, Roz Recipes ensures high-quality protein and nutrition in every bite. To shop their line of nutritionally complete offerings for cats and dogs, or find an authorized local retail partner near you, visit rawsnaturalpetfood.com. That's Raws, Rawz.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, it's actually I unpacked the pallets, every box, and it's in my garage. Like I've got 800 boxes of cat litter. So yeah, in my garage. So I'm printing labels and I'm shipping them from my garage every
How
day.
cool.
But I'm
I mean, I guess
yeah,
everyone has to start somewhere, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's That's the way it goes. So
Exactly.
you literally had to buy a pallet of litter, yeah, and then bring it to
Uh,
yourself.
10 pallets.
10 pallets.
10 pallets?
My
Yeah,
gosh.
10 pallets. So it's like it was 8.5 ton of litter.
Wow.
I
And
know.
where did that, does it ship from China or does it ship from like India or something? Or yeah,
Yeah, no,
China?
shipped from China in a container, and then I had to go and pick up the pallets and with my husband's truck, and come and unload every box from the truck into my garage.
So how many boxes was it total? 8.
863 boxes, yes, and
My
10 kilos in each box. So
Wow.
yes,
And 10, is
yeah.
that where you're selling them in? 10 kilos? No. I mean, it's a lot.
No, they're 4.7 kilo boxes, but
Ah,
there's 2 bags per box. So,
I
yeah,
see.
very easy to handle and things. But yeah, exciting. And I'm still working as a vet because I obviously have to fund all of this. So, juggling that, working weekends and packing boxes at night.
Yeah. So
So, yeah, very
how
interesting.
is the launch going? Have you been? I mean, so obviously you're right into the community. You were at the show this weekend, so you know. Did
Yes.
you take a stall or did you just kind of walk around and talk to people?
Well, I was actually vetting. So, you know how,
Ah,
yeah. So I had to
wow.
be, first night I had, well, first morning I woke up at 4:30 because I had to be there at 6:30 to vet all the cats in. So it was
Uh-huh.
2 days worth. And it was really,
Did you vet me out?
oh, the second day, I actually had to ask somebody to withdraw their cat, which was really like, I
Awkward.
had the president of the association and the managerian, and I'm like, oh my God. But it
You're
went
the end of
really,
that's your it's your decision. That's what you're there for, right? You know what I
I
mean? Yeah.
know. So it was really cool. I really loved it. And I made, had chats with, because I'd met so many breeders at your show. Like that's when that was the first show I've ever been to.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yes. And
It's
so it was
totally
really
different
cool.
than what you saw this weekend, right? I mean,
Oh
right?
yeah, totally different. But the breeders who I'd met, like we hung out all of the
You probably
weekend.
saw some
And
of the same. You probably saw some of the same people.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I
they all
mean? Was there
were.
like the
Yeah.
Bengal people? Like Barbie was there, and like all
Barbie.
Barbie was
Well, yeah,
there, and
Barbie and I were just talking earlier. We're really close, and Monster. Um, we've got Monster Maine Coons, and then we had K-Doll Ragdolls who had the Tiffany. Do you remember?
I
It was
have
Chrissy who had the
Christy,
Tiffany.
Christy,
Chrissy,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Chrissy who
Christy was
had the
there.
Tiffany. Yeah, yeah,
Was
and
Bambi there
then
too? What about Bambi? Was she there?
yes,
Bambi was
Bambi,
there.
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
all of
Good.
those.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was really
good.
fun. It was great, great.
But a
And
little
they all
less,
had
a
they
little
all
less
had real
showy this
positive
weekend.
things about
About
to
us.
say about you. Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely.
Australia, we
For
have been
sure.
really well received. We have been really well received. You know, I'm like, you're either not to. I don't want to talk about me this so much, but it's like, we are. I'm disrupting an industry, right? You know what I mean? To be fair, we are kind of changing the perception and celebrating the cat.
Yes.
So you're either I'm either looked at one or two ways. Like I'm either in reinvigorating this world or destroying it. Like there's no way around it. You know what I mean? There's no in between with me. Which is
Well,
understandable. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
things
Well,
things are
well, that's
different.
a reflection of how many fans you have and how many people are
And how
supporting
many
you.
people don't
'Cause
like me too? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there's
well, it's yin and yang, isn't it? Like that's exactly, the haters are a reflection of how many lovers you have,
when they stop talking about you, right? I mean, then they're
Yeah.
gonna, and I'm not. I mean, I have busted my butt for the last 3 years to get us into 5 continents. You know what I mean? Like, so that's
Oh,
only
it's
3 years.
incredible.
So,
Yeah.
and
You
and
should
there's
feel
been
so
there's
proud.
Yeah, and there's been mistakes made along the way, but you'll know as an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
everybody knows that you take risks and you make change and you do certain things and you regret things and but you keep on. And this is year 3, and year
Yeah.
3 is when most people hang it up. You know what I mean? You got to have
Yeah.
grit and tenacity, and you know what I mean, and also being a public person. My gosh, you know what I mean? Like, you never mind that. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
Absolutely.
bit of a rough run. I'm hopeful.
that we will be back in Australia. We have a lot of, I mean, Barbie and all that lot in Sydney. I'm hoping that they can all collaboratively get together and,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
get a show off the ground
I
there.
can help with that too.
Maybe you could be
Yeah.
part of that as well. I don't want to start another company in Australia. You know what I mean? So we just need
Yeah.
independent. Normally how we work is that like the United Kingdom, you know, Nothing But Cats is the club there. You know what I mean? And then we have a club in Japan, and then we have a club in Colombia, Peru, Chile, and then one in the United States, one in Canada. So they kind of, that's kind of the way it goes. The way we were there last time, one club took on the 6 shows in a row,
That's right.
which was a I would never do 6 shows in a row. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, that
it's
was
risky, you know, because if one tanks, you know what I mean, then you have problems.
knock
You
on.
know, we do
Yeah.
back to back just because in the US and my
Time.
travel. But like one show, if you know, if one club did one show, and with the reach that we have as a marketing company now, I mean, there's really no risk there, so that's exciting. I mean, I am
Yes.
talking to some key people in the major cities because we built it there. You know, the cat exhibitors really loved it. It's different. You know, we're not trying to
Yeah.
replace the Australian associations by any means. Like they're
Yes.
what they, and I judged for the Australian associations the year before.
Yeah, amazing.
You know, so I'm happy to. I mean, but we're not trying to do any. We just want to. It's just something different for people to do, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot
Yeah.
of the cats in Australia are used to staying in their cages, right? And then
Yes.
judge goes to
Yes.
them ish, right?
Yes.
So for us, they're like running on stage and they're running
They're
to each
out.
of the things and like you
Yeah.
know, it's a different cat, sometimes
Right.
personality, and a different cat exhibitor. But
Yes.
if these shows, I know, did they have a lot of visitors at this show?
Not that many. No, no.
Or was it?
Um, it was in the Wentworth Park, which was interesting because prior to that, they've always been out at Windsor, and this is like an hour and a bit out. So it was in this area. It was actually really good. It was cozy. They didn't have as many like retail stores as you had, but they were all sort of in a corner. So I don't know, like I'm not really familiar. Well, I mean, Australia's got 4 major governing
Bodies,
bodies.
yeah.
Yeah,
Really
so
hard
it'd
for
be
me to
interesting.
understand. So yeah, but still, yeah.
Yeah, and they were all very like, again, so it'd be interesting to see how we could make that work for your show. But then,
Yeah,
have you heard of the cat lovers? That's like there's a
yeah, we
cat
heard of
and
Cat
dog
Lover. I
lovers.
mean, I think that we know of each other. Cat
Yeah,
Lovers does really well, from what I understand, in Sydney and Melbourne, which is great. And I guess they're
yeah,
coming to Brisbane next year as well. But you know, dogs have always had the spotlight, you know, and
yes.
all the money and all the sponsorship in the animal world goes to dogs, you know,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
and and I've fully said this before, I blame in the 90s, early 2000s, like the shows were given lots of money and, you know, for sponsorships, especially during like the IAMS Eukanuba days, you know what I mean?
Oh,
When they were
yes.
really big and they were sponsoring a lot of stuff. And the cat people didn't follow through on the expectations that were needed. That's, in my personal opinion, what happened. And
Yes.
basically, is kind of why we, as an organization at Loving Cats Worldwide, we don't really say cat show, we say cat extravaganza for a reason. And it's because cat show has this automatic, you know, unfortunate, you know, what's the word?
Um,
Predisposition or mental thing. You know, you think a cat
yeah.
show, and like when you go to ask for sponsorships or talk to people, and now thankfully, because my visibility is so big, it's a lot easier. But in the
Yes.
beginning, you know, they're like, oh, no, we don't do cat shows. It doesn't work for us
Ah,
because there's no effort put in. There's no gate. You know, cat people are
yeah.
cat people for a reason, right? I mean, they're
Yes.
generally introverts, you know, And
Yes.
I'm an introverted extrovert to an extent,
Yeah.
but the
But we're very committed, just like cats are. Like, they're more committed. Cats are like more loyal than dogs are, aren't they?
yeah,
And like
totally.
cat people are more intense than dog people.
Yeah, but they don't. We need a time. We're starting to see. So anyway, back to cat lovers. And I don't know
Yeah.
the. I don't know and so maybe they're gonna watch this, and I apologize for you guys, but I don't really know them. Happy to come,
Yeah.
at one point in time. But all I know is that dog lovers. If we have explored I actually also own Pet Stravaganza as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
and I do offer, when we have really big space, we do offer space for dog rescues as well.
Mm,
So we do that as well. But because cat lovers and dog lovers have been very successful, but it's a lot of people come to see the dogs, and there's overflow to
yeah,
cat.
well,
You know what I
I
mean?
definitely think that, yeah, like you said, and I think that's what you're establishing as well, is that we are becoming, we've always been a niche, but it's actually been bigger. Just like me, I want to be a cat brand. I don't want to do dogs. I just want to be a cat brand, and there are more and more
It's
companies.
changing, and we are, and I mean,
Yeah,
I'm proud to say that we are part of this transition. There are
yeah,
millions and millions and millions of people that didn't even know cat shows existed.
uh,
You hear me say that. How
totally.
many people know there's dog shows, but no one knew there were cat shows. So if the
No.
cat world has been, if I wasn't doing, or we weren't doing what we are doing, I would give the cat show industry world 10 years. There
Yeah.
isn't, I mean, in Asia and South America, you're seeing a lot of younger people, involved
Mm,
in the cat show world, which is
yes.
fantastic. But if you think about it, it's because their parents had different struggles during those
Mm,
times. Think about
yeah.
Colombia. Colombia is really growing this really, really great cat fancy. But the
Yes.
parents of these people in the 80s and the 90s in Colombia had very
Yeah.
different issues. You know what I mean?
Well, I think globally, because of COVID, pet ownership has changed, right?
Yeah,
So pet ownership is not just you've got your pet out in your backyard, or and you're feeding and they're your pet. They're now part of the family. And I
totally.
think, and that's where the pet ownership has changed, and we see that change exponentially in China, like, because they're sort of like such a big
Totally. Yeah.
population. Cat ownership in China is bigger than dogs.
It's huge, but
It's
but the China, not to, I mean, not to put them in a box, but the Chinese
Yeah.
love like round,
Oh,
sweet, cute, like,
oh
you know what I
my
mean? Like,
God. Oh my
you
God.
know what I
I
mean?
should show you the photos. Like, there's these
You see a
actually
lot of
like
like
doll dresses with
you see a lot of
petticoats.
British you
It's
see
a
a lot of
cat.
these cutesy cats and British short hairs, American short hairs. You don't see a lot of those
Yeah.
slinky cats, Orientals and stuff. They love these like
No,
it's funny,
they
isn't it?
do. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was really cool because when I went to the expo, I met like some breeds that I'd actually never ever seen before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think
We
that
used to run it.
globally,
I used to judge in China quite a bit. I've been
oh,
at least 30 times.
oh
But
wow.
the organization that I was with before Loving Cats Worldwide was in China. A lot of the cat associations were in China until the
Oh,
Chinese government said you need to do it properly. You know what I mean? So you can't operate a business in China without being a Chinese business. You know what I mean?
oh, okay,
So
okay.
they all got kind of pushed out. So China's a good market for us. Hint, hint.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like it's like Australia. Australia has never been allowed to compete on the international stage. Like those cats that were in Loving Cats Worldwide shows, they are now like in the rankings in international. So it's kind of like the Chinese, and the Chinese are super competitive, like in
oh,
general. It's like they're super, super competitive, but they don't have an international association that they can be part
oh.
of anymore. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
this could be
So
really cool. Like,
there is some room in there. That's just it's time, right?
yeah,
For me.
totally, right? There's so many things. Like, I was like, oh
I
my
have so
goodness.
many
Like,
things I can do. I'm only one
I,
person, you know?
I know, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like what, what can Steve and I do? Like, I reckon we could do a really cool collab. Like, everybody loves,
Especially with
Yeah.
Especially
Well, everybody,
with your Chinese roots, yeah. You
yeah,
get into
yeah, and
China with
everybody
your
loves the Australian accent as well. But then also, having somebody international and blonde as well, and
kind of.
that's really
Uh,
good. Yeah, bleach blonde, but it's a good bleach blonde.
it is funny. My popularity has skyrocketed in Australia. Since I was there, which is really cool. It helps, having this accent, I suppose. When
Oh,
you hear my voice, but there's a lot of stuff that I think that we can do, and this is just the tip of the iceberg with our conversations.
oh,
But I think
totally.
as far as what you're doing, and even what you're thinking of doing is crazy. But and I think
I think I could do it
collaboratively,
though.
but it's doable. Anything is
Yeah.
doable now. I mean, and it just takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and it takes visibility.
Hmm.
And we have that visibility. So to be able
Yeah.
to help out. So
Yeah.
I think as we progress as a company or as an organization, Loving Cats Worldwide, we've changed we've changed a lot. We've become more about the cat and less about the breed. We still
Yes.
welcome breed and ethical breeding and teaching, and we want people to, if you want to add a Maine Coon to your life, we want you to ask the right questions, you know what I mean, to get that cat. I would say if you're going to pick up a cat in a car park, on a Saturday night, like that's probably a red flag. Like there's not a lot of education that goes along with that. But
Yeah.
also the part of the rescue, we have really upped our rescue game, even more so than I have ever even thought I was involved in. You know what I mean? I was always a
Yes.
pedigree cat breeder, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
yeah, the rescues were always there, but I mean, I just have completely changed my mentality on the
Mm.
cat. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
the
Because
cat
it's so
needs to be
rewarding.
celebrated.
But
Yeah.
don't you think it's so rewarding when you can actually help and you feel so, you feel like you want to do more, and then the more you explore it, you're like, oh my goodness, I can help more. Like there's so much I can
I
do,
honestly think that
you know? All cats.
we've facilitated
Right.
thousands of
Yeah.
adoptions, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
through, not facilitated directly, but like from our events and
Yes.
from visibility, and and I think
Absolutely.
as we continue to grow, I think people want to have a pet, maybe that, and I love when people come to the events or they speak to me and they say, I was never a cat person before I met you, or
Mhm.
I came to this event begrudgingly with my wife or my husband or vice versa or whatever, and they were like, but we really enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
and I say that people are always, if people that are dog people because they haven't met the cat, you know what I mean, like
Oh
the one
yes.
the one that
Totally. Yes.
changes their life. But
Totally.
it's time for the cats to be at least raised to the same level as dogs, and that's kind of what
Absolutely.
we are trying to do. As much as you can say that we're all showy and glitz and glam and all this kind of stuff in the cats, but we are really making an impact globally, and that's what's important, whether anyone
Yeah.
believes it or not. they
And
they
it's
they
cat appreciation, and it's cat, and also proud to be a cat lover. And it's like I
yeah.
walk around and say, I'm a cat person. Like I admit
we
it,
had
right?
We had this, I don't know which show it was. I don't think it was Sydney, but in Australia, nothing against Australian associations, but the non pedigree cast never goes up for the overall best in show, like against the other cats, like, which is
Yes.
always kind of alarming to me, but not alarming, but just kind of saddened to me, because it's like they're not equal, you know what I mean? And in
Yeah.
our show, I do a full class where the pedigrees and the non pedigrees compete against each other that actually has points, right?
Oh,
And then at
really?
the
So
end
they
of the
actually compare. Oh,
yeah, they
compete.
literally. I do a show called
Wow.
the. I do a class called the Very Important Kitten and the Very Important Cat, where the pedigree cats and the non-pedigree cats literally compete against each other, and the
Wow.
non-pedigree cats don't really have a standard of points like the pedigree cats
Yeah.
do, but they're heavily weighed on personality. Long story
I
short,
love
ish.
that.
We do this, but in Perth, there was a non-pedigree cat named Pumpkin. I mean, you might have saw that on social media on it. The
Yeah.
non-pedigree cat named Pumpkin that I gave best in my Very Important Cat class against like 40 other pedigree cats. But the cat was so cool. He was a therapy cat, to be honest, and
Yes, that's right.
he was a ginger, a red tabby, and she was so easy to handle. She was lovely. The crowd loved her. A little boy was handling her,
And I gave him best, and I think I'd done it once in the past, because it's very hard for a non-pedigree to beat a solid white Persian, you know what I mean, with the
Oh
grooming, the
my
upkeep and
goodness.
stuff.
Yes, there was
But
one
then
of those on the
at
weekend.
the overall best in show, at the end of the weekend in Perth, you know, we bring up the best kitten, the best junior, the adult, the desexed, and the household pet, or the non-pedigree. And then the judges vote for an overall best in show. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
then whoever, there's 5 judges, right? And then whoever wins becomes overall best in show, the best supreme exhibit, whatever they say in Australia. And every judge voted for Pumpkin. And that's never, ever
Oh, I
happened in our
love
history before.
that.
So the little boy will never forget it. You know, it was just really such a special moment. I think some of the breeders were like, this guy has lost his mind. You know what I mean? Like, but then, you know, I've never seen a crowd erupt like they
Wow.
erupted for that little undercat.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that I read that in an article, but it brings a tear to your eye, you know, you're really
And that
impacting
little
so
boy will
many
never forget it.
people.
And there's no reason that red, I mean, when you have a red tabby cat, that's like a cat. Everybody's had that
Oh,
cat. You know what I mean? And, you know,
absolutely. And they're
that
so
cat deserves,
special to so
that's
many
just that,
different individuals.
and it deserves to be gushed over the same as any other pedigree cat does. So that's
Yes,
what we're
yes.
changing.
Well,
Anyway,
I would say as patients, we see more domestics or non-pedigree cats than we do pedigrees.
yeah, and I think that's also, I mean, a misconception with the adopt don't shop mentality. You know, I mean, you know, we have done amazing work with the rescue community, so the adopt don't shop people kind of are good with us, you know, which is
Yeah, I
nice.
remember. That's right,
Yeah.
because I remember that you mentioned, you know, at the end of one of your presentations or something on the day, you said, you know, and also we support rescues, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh, well, I really appreciate that. And I can tell that,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
you
really
are
important.
bridging the gap there, you know, between the pedigrees
No
and
one's been able to do that, not in any of the, and
important
if the gap,
in the
if we
media.
don't do that, with animal rights activists are getting very powerful, like there's going to be some issues. You're already seeing problems in Australia, Europe, and, you know, with specific breeds that unfortunately have been misinformed. Bengals, for example, are no longer
Yeah,
imported into
in
Australia, which is
Australia
really
and the
ridiculous.
toiga. And
And the
you
toy,
know
which
what?
is even more ridiculous because,
And
like,
why
you
are
know,
they wasting energy on like passing that,
who
and they not even dealing with the like
funny,
overpopulation of stray cats?
I was talking to some MPs in Canberra about it, and they had no idea, you know, because they came to the show, and I was like, you guys need to get on this because this is really
Yeah,
ridiculous. I'm sure it has something to do with
wasting
that
energy.
people at the borders can't tell our early gen from a later gen, but that's kind of the point of the program of a Bengal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the
so
point of a Bengal
the
program is
breeding,
for it to look like a
domestication.
leopard cat. At least, you know.
Yeah. But at
So.
least we can breed the temperament into them, you know, with ongoing breeding, and you need a bigger gene pool,
But
right?
there's
So,
no reason for a toiger to be banned because a Bengal was used way in the beginning, you know what I mean? And like in
yeah.
that they used the bad Bengal, not the bad Bengal, but the ones that had the worst spotted patterns. They used the ones with the rib stripes so they could create the toiger. And I don't know if you even
Yes.
know, Jean Mill is the founder of the Bengal breed, but her daughter Judy Sugden is the founder of the toiger breed. So it's
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Judy's still alive. Jean is passed a few years back, but I know them both. I knew Jean very well
wow.
actually because I started with Bengals in the '90s. Believe it or not.
Oh, do you have a
Yeah,
Bengal presently?
I don't anymore.
Oh,
When I
oh,
left, I started in the cat world in 1990. I was quite young, so and I bred Bengals for about 10 or 12 years, and then time, space, cities, you know, I slowly started to wean my program down and I got uninvolved for a time being. And then and then in 2010-ish, when I moved to the UK, I came
yeah.
back and I brought in American short hairs to the United Kingdom.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I started breeding American short hairs. That's how that started, to be
Very
fair.
cool.
Yeah, so all right, it was an amazing conversation. Your work is amazing. I'm looking forward to having many more conversations with you about your efforts and what we can do together. I mean, not only just in Australia, but globally as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
what you can pilot these. I have seen, to be fair, like, these mass, I don't know if that's the right word, these clinics, that do the spay and neuters. But it takes, but there could be a way to pilot this project globally, you know what I mean? And that's really exciting. I really want
based on volunteers, solely based on volunteers and not based on anything else.
It's volunteers, time, and someone that has the contacts. That's really
organizational, ability and the experience to do that. Yeah.
Is there, and really that's just the veterinarians and the students and the nurses are just donating their time, right? So that's how it goes. Yeah.
That's
Amazing.
how it goes. Yeah. And then just, the drug company throw a few bottles of anesthetic and
if there's a way, for us to I would assume that the drug companies would get involved better if we could give them more visibility. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's that. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of drug companies that would get involved, but they want bang for their buck, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's fantastic. Amazing. It was an amazing conversation. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Everyone Can Have One More Cat with Steve Reserve and Dr. Tanya Phillips. Thank you very much from Sydney, Australia.
Thank you so much. I loved it.
We will see you soon.
Hey everybody, welcome to Everybody Can Have One More Cat with Stephen Reserve, because no one will ever notice.